Google Fonts might be the web's most popular destination for type, but are the fonts that you can get hold of there any good? In this video, we're going to find out. Let's go! Hello friends, welcome back to Flux Academy, the online design school. My name is Matt Brunton, I'm a designer from the north of England, and today we're talking about Google Fonts, which is a huge library of free-to-use fonts on the web. 1,400 families to be precise at the time of recording this video, but should you be using them? Are they any good? Now, I have to admit that I have expensive taste. I'm guessing that I share that with most of you watching. We're designers. We like things to look beautiful and work effortlessly. We like things that are classic or unique. So just like clothes or furniture or guitar pedals, I might have a little bit of a problem there. When it comes to fonts, I like the classics and I like boutique. Classics like Bodoni, Garamond, Helvetica, Univers, these have become timeless. And boutique means type cut by leading independent foundries. It has quality to it. It is optimized for modern usage, for digital, but also they have some little elements of distinctiveness. And because they cost money and they maybe cost more, they're more rare. So just like with clothes, things from a high street store or a supermarket you might see everybody wearing, something that's more unique, boutique, is going to be rare. And it's the same with type. So free type, because there's no cost barrier, it's going to be everywhere. And if you want uniqueness, for example in a brand identity, you're probably better going for something which is by design going to be more rare because you have to pay for it. Now, when it comes to looking beautiful and working effortlessly, as we talked about earlier, let me show you an example of how that works with type. So I've prepared a Google font here. This is Advent Pro. Apologies to the designer. Thank you for making this available open source, and there's some creativity in this, but there's some technical issues which I want to demonstrate. So you've probably noticed some things. What can you see at the moment that are issues here? So one thing I'm noticing is the uppercase I's are ones, and that looks strange. It makes it more difficult to read. Some of the other characters are strange. This curve isn't very smooth, and then the terminals on this S, they're horizontal, and then it's angled at the top, and then we've got these angled cuts like on the E and the G going the other way. There's not really a consistency to the way that's done. This Y is quite strange. Does it have a bit missing, or usually uppercase Y's are of this format? So there's something to do with the letters. Even the crossbars are all kind of in different places, not in a consistent way, I should say. So they're not necessarily always at the same line or in a well-drawn font. That's not what I'm saying, but there's no real consistency to them. You can see here on this reg part, it kind of goes up and down in a strange way. But you'll also notice things like the kerning. So this is set with metric kerning. We've got the L and the A and the C and the A kind of crashing into each other, and this is kind of a little bit messy, and so that's something you'd have to fool around with on the web. It's difficult to kern, so that would create some problems. Now you might be thinking, oh, okay, you've tried to pick on a particularly poor font here, so I want to choose Into, which definitely has some good qualities, and this again is a Google font, and it's one that people often mention as a Helvetica alternative if you're looking for it for free. And it's not the worst font in the world, but on this first line, which is set with metric kerning, I've just noted that here, you can definitely see around the L we've got a lot of space in these areas, and that is definitely something that you would want to pull in. With Neue Montreal Book, which is Pangram, an independent type foundry, their version of Helvetica, already this is a lot tighter. I mean, it almost looks like they're set at different tracking, but they're both set at 0. Now on the bottom line, if we maybe try to pull in the tracking on this, that would improve it, and that's something you can do manually with headlines, but difficult to do on the web or in browser. If we change this to optical kerning, which is where the software tries to kern it itself, optical means to the eye, and you should kern headlines to the eye. It does improve it. It pulls this L closer together, and the whole spacing has improved, but I would still want to finesse this a little bit. But I mean, every font has issues. Everything needs to be kerned manually to be done properly. Even here with the example of the quality font, the E and the X may be a little bit close versus how the rest of it is done. And if we set this to optical, they do slightly move apart, the E and the X, whilst it tightens up further around the L, between the M and the P, etc. And this is obviously quite nicely and tightly kerned there, so Illustrator's done quite a good job. So there's some of the issues that you see, things that you sometimes have to get around, but just examples of what might occur with a poorer quality font. Now, Ran and I were talking, and if you don't know Ran, maybe this is your first video on the channel, check out some other videos. The gentleman with the spectacles is the founder of this channel, and we were chatting about creating a resource, selecting some great fonts for the Flux community as people were coming into design. This would really help them getting started. These are the fonts you should use. So we were looking at putting this selection of type together, and then Rand suggested limiting it to Google fonts only. And my first thought was, but I don't want it to look terrible. In reality, he was right. We often have to compromise, and I see this on projects all the time. Even companies with huge budgets are using Google fonts or similar services because it's practical, and font licensing is not cheap. If we have a look at commercial type, something like Druck, this is a font you want to use if you want to be trendy, right? We can go super narrow or super wide, and it's kind of in vogue at the moment. And it's a nice font. So let's say we want the full collection, 5 families. Okay, we'll add that in. Okay, so desktop, if I want to put that on 3 computers, that's $600. Okay, but I'll need it on my website. One domain. Oh, we've got a couple of subdomains. 500k page views seems reasonable. Okay, but we've got an app as well. So let's do the app, one app. Hang on a minute. We've already got up to $2,625, which is a fair amount of money. I've taken it off screen. There we go. It's not cheap. So now thinking about using 3 typefaces in an identity. Okay, maybe you wouldn't need every single weight and width, but even so, it's a lot of money. So are there any decent fonts on Google? Well, with over 1,400 families, as you would expect, some are good, some are bad, and a lot are average. So as a designer, if you're using free fonts, you need to bear in mind 3 things. Number 1, make the most of what you've got. Now, if I swap guitars with John Mayer, maybe the guitar behind me, it might make me sound a little bit better. It might make him sound a little bit worse, but probably most people could not tell the difference, even though he might have a 60-year-old handmade guitar and mine, albeit it's a nice American guitar, it's from a factory. But there's limits. Like if we were to give John Mayer like a $50 guitar from a catalogue made out of plywood, you'd probably notice a difference at that point if you like your music, if you've got good ears. And that applies almost directly to fonts. An absolutely awful, terrible font you're going to struggle with. But something that's at least passable, it's functional, a good designer is going to make that work a lot more than a poor designer is going to succeed just by having a great font. So proper typesetting is the key, making the most of what you've got. Even something like Inter, like I said, there's some issues with it, but there's things you could do, like even looking at the heavier weights, some of these headlines, or using it as a headline, sorry, I should say, or something like that. I think that's not too bad. Let's maybe compare it with the expensive font. I prefer the expensive font. It's more elegant, it's more classic, But this is certainly passable, and depending on your situation, you could definitely finesse that. Let's say it's a fashion thing, you want to put a sign up maybe, or a headline. You could do something maybe in a lighter weight, maybe increase the tracking. Let's increase the tracking hugely, let's say like 400. So imagine a headline like this. We're making the most of what we got. Maybe we can't afford to license Universe or something like Noya Montreal, but this could work. Now, that is what a designer does. Now, another Google font which I actually discovered by researching this video, Lobster. Let's try using this. Let's make it as it's supposed to be. Title case. Let's take the tracking to 0, the kerning back to metric. It's still ugly. Sorry, not a fan of this font. And so it's about making the most of what you want. Okay, you've got a free font. That doesn't mean you have to use Lobster. You could use something like Inter, choose the right way, the right typesetting, and you're making the most of it. It's not just a case of buying a bunch of expensive fonts. That's not going to improve a poor layout. The second thing you need to do when you're working with free fonts is achieve distinctiveness by other means. So you can't rely on type alone to build a brand identity. The way that you use color and imagery has to be what you rely on more when you can't rely on the type. And the third thing to bear in mind is being able to separate the good from the bad. How do you know what's a good font and what's a bad font? Well, there's two ways to do this. The first one is to develop your eye. That means you get better and better at seeing the vagaries of type and noticing the errors or maybe the things that wouldn't work in your situation. Not always that a font is bad, just that it's not appropriate for that context, or it won't work well with what you're trying to make it do. So if you learn more about that, and you also learn to see type, to understand type, then you'll start to recognize it more and more quickly as your experience develops. Would you like some pointers on that? Let us know down in the comments if you'd like us a video about identifying quality type, and maybe we could do that for you. But the second way that you can separate the good from the bad is a way that reduces error and it saves time, particularly when you're learning to develop your eye, and that's to choose from a curated list, which is why, as I mentioned before, we created this free ebook which is entitled The Best Google Fonts for Every Mood, which I wrote and designed, and you can get that via a link in the description of this video. With 1,400 families on Google Fonts, that's a lot to trawl through. So you can simply browse our collection and see examples of the type in use, and that might help you get started a lot quicker. Let us know in the comments which are your favorite Google fonts. Where else do you go to find fonts? Do you like Adobe fonts, Monotype, independent foundries perhaps? Keep the conversation going, and until next time, happy designing.